one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. Just gotta mean something, you. They gotta mean something. Everything you got. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2-3. 1, 2, 3. Finish.
Look, I'm through with this false persona. I can't do the Mr. Goody two-shoe shit any longer. Y'all check y'all hoes at the door while I'm putting it on her. Feel less responsible for my actions when I say I'm on the edge and these niggas just keep harassing. Killing people I love, man, this shit just a crime of passion. I know this isn't me, boy, stop asking me what didn't happen. I've been talking to my demons, y'all really thought I was capping. Now y'all scared cause you found that I'm really about all the action. Don't do the pretend shit, all of my problems for instance. Tugging the cheek over tension, nice that we can barely mention. I would say I moved on, but I know that shit hard to convince it. I sleep at ease when she pull up like a hardy convention. Never been harder to fit in. I know niggas, no pot to piss in. Needing assistance, also no niggas ran plays with pistons. Both old wisdom. I sleep in silence, knowing everything good with the profit. I checked the summary last month, made 11 deposits. Everything is big up on the boy, feel like Christopher Wallace. Strong arm the game, who gon' stop him? That nigga too brolic. I've had enough of they twisted logic, that shit retarded. I question everything. I made the wrong choice between a paddock or a wedding ring. Hope you catching everything. They get goosebumps when I spit like when a net is seen.
Well, Dak, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence, and nobody can hang with my stuff. I'm just a big, hairy American winning machine. If you ain't first, you're last.
Yeah, I bought some packs of Kool-Aid. I don't know where I put them at, man. I'm kind of mad about it. And I just got done washing and drying some clothes. And I can't find these packs of Kool-Aid nowhere. And I'm almost certain they're going to be in one of them pockets on some of the pants. On some of the sweats that I just washed. I just know that's going to be the case. And I was looking forward to, the hood lemonade, great mix Kool-Aid. Bro, I was just looking forward to it. And as my luck would have it. So, that's that. But NFL Saturday, the divisional round, we have come to its conclusion. Couldn't get my words out. Chiefs at home taking on the Jags. The Eagles were at home taking on the Giants. We're going to start off talking about this Kansas City Chiefs game. What a game. What a game. I think this a game of two things. Because usually, you say a game of two halves. It's not necessarily a game of two halves. This game was because I think this game completely changed once Pat Mahomes became compromised. Towards the end of the first quarter, one of the Jaguars defenders fell on his ankle. After that, completely different game. Shout out to Chad Henne, who took the team on the longest drive in playoff history for the Chiefs. When he went on a 12-play, 98-yard scoring drive. They don't score on that drive. That could have completely changed the game. So two things happened in this game that I think changed the game or the complexion of the game. Pat Mahomes' injury and Chad Henne with that touchdown drive. Because that's a big dog drive. And something that I noticed while watching that drive, I said to myself, now this is an example that I'm so happy is being presented to me right now. Because if Greg Roman is who people continuously say he is, why can't he do that right there? Because we know what the Chiefs are with Pat Mahomes. But if you are as good an offensive mind as you are supposed to be, you should be able to get a drive out of dudes, especially in these type of situations where you got to be calling big time plays because it's big time moments. And look how Andy Reid and Bieniemy got Chad Henne up the field, scored. Like, come on, man. Like, I understand the NFL ain't hard. This is a tough job, yada, yada, yada. But it's hard for other people, too. And look at how these other dudes come through. Look at how Bieniemy and Andy Reid got this team in position to still score with Pat Mahomes not under center. And look at how they were able to change the game after Pat Mahomes was compromised and came back in the second half. This is why I have so much respect for Eric Bieniemy and Andy Reid. Continue to not understand how Eric Bieniemy has not gotten a job yet, because I say it multiple times. If you give all these white coordinators credit for Tom Brady's success, you give all these other coordinators credit for these other top quarterback success, how in Jesus' name is Eric Bieniemy not given the same respect and credit for Pat Mahomes' success? It makes absolutely no sense. I done seen multiple head coaches get hired off of the strength of their quarterbacks. And yet and still, Eric Bieniemy is the only one being what do you call it? Being discredited basically because he got a great quarterback. It's absolutely insane to me. But nonetheless, that operation over there is just flawless. And as I'm watching this game, I thought to myself in the beginning, because Pat Mahomes is just a GOAT, bro. Like this, I understand some people say Aaron Rodgers is the greatest thrower of the football they ever seen. It's Pat Mahomes for me. This motherfucker is just unbelievable. Like, the throws that this dude can, and I understand it's a lot of quarterbacks who can throw a sidearm. It's a lot of quarterbacks who can throw a good deep ball and all these other type of things. It's just how Pat Mahomes put it all together. The consistency of which he do it. Like he do it so much that I shouldn't still be shocked and amazed and surprised. But it's just this dude is so crisp. It's so clean. It's like this dude is a otherworldly talent. And I'm so happy he ended up with the coaches that he ended up with. Because you could just see how a talent like Pat Mahomes could be on a different type of team and it not go the way that it's going right now. Because I can see the polar opposite version of a great structure around the quarterback like a Pat Mahomes and seeing that just go to hell and him throwing picks left and right on a yearly basis. I could see him being a Jameis Winston type of quarterback if he weren't in with Andy Reid. And I'm not giving Andy Reid the credit. I'm just saying that type of structure helps to get Pat Mahomes to where he need to get to. You know what I'm saying? It keep his development clean. Whereas if he was playing for a team with a coach who not as with the resume of Andy Reid, he might be able to take liberties he wouldn't take with Andy Reid. And Andy Reid still give him full control of the offense. But he know how to reel him in, him and Bieniemy. That trio is one of the greatest trio. And I always say you got to add Kelsey and Tyreek Hill to it too. Because listen, I don't care how you feel about Tyreek Hill. That drop back where Pat Mahomes just drop, and sling that throw off his back foot to Tyreek. Bro, it's one of the greatest throws I've ever seen in my lifetime. Every single time he do it. Think of what that take to be able to do. And he do it so clean, and he did that shit in the Super Bowl to get him back. Like, to me, that is one of the cleanest throws I've ever seen when he just hit this drop back and sling that bad boy off his back foot to Tyreek, because Tyreek down there somewhere. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. And so you look at this game in Chiefs Kingdom, a loud ass crowd, bro. You really, I think the two loudest crowds I've ever seen from just sitting at home is the Chiefs and the Seahawks. Those fans get loud as shit, yo, on me. But a third part of this game that I think got to be talked about is the Chiefs defense, because I talk about it all the time. I don't think the Chiefs have a good defense. I think they have a playoff championship tested defense, meaning they understand they have to make big plays in big moments. They don't have to be perfect and good throughout the entirety of a game, but they do have to step up and make big moments when big moments need to be made. I see defenses all the time play good throughout the entirety of a game, and then when the most important parts of a game come up, they can't get a stop. In football, it don't matter. I understand that this is going to be something hard to understand. But in football, sometimes the way a game is played out, and I done said this multiple times when I talk about the Ravens, sometimes an offense and a defense can both not be going. It don't matter that you getting all these stops, because as soon as your offense score, that's when the game officially starts. You cannot then let the opposing offense go right down the field after your offense score and score. That's not how that works. And then use the excuse, well, we was playing good defense all game. Well, now that we need you to be good, you're no longer good. So to me, it's different situations in games where defense don't have to be good. They don't got to be perfect throughout the game. But it's situations that arise where you have to get stops. And that's exactly what the Jags did last week against the Chargers. They didn't get all the stops that they needed in the first half, even though you could go back and look at some of those stops where they turned them into 3 points instead of giving up the 7. It was the same thing in this game. The Chiefs made big stops. And mind you, I think the Chiefs had a great little stand for a stretch where Pat Mahomes is wobbled and the offense not the same, because clearly this offense for the Chiefs changed once Pat Mahomes got hurt. And shout out to Kelsey. I talk about it all the time. That is the best tight end in football. But the offense completely changed. The only thing that didn't was Travis Kelsey after Pat Mahomes went down. I mean, he got hurt because the mobility. I think people talk about how Lamar run and use his legs and yada, yada, yada. And we don't. Well, not we. people fail to realize how much other quarterbacks also use their mobility. Look at Pat Mahomes at the beginning of this game and how he used his mobility to get him clean looks and to get him throws and to get Kelsey open. And look at how it changed, and you have to completely change the offense when he becomes just a stationary target. See, people don't really think about that. They think just because Lamar can break out or Jalen Hurts can break out and run for a big game, which Pat Mahomes can do too. I've seen him do it multiple times, that they are just stationary targets. They aren't. They operate great from the pocket, like I talk about Lamar and Josh, but they also are able to move around and get out the pocket because you cannot just be solely a stationary target. It just changed the offense. However, the other thing that played a big part, so we're hitting different points now, because the defense played a great part for the Chiefs, holding them and not going letting the dam break. But and they also had some help because the Jags offensive line gave up a lot of bad pressures in this game. Because I thought one of the things that changed in this Chiefs game, once the Chiefs started sending smart blitzes, it completely changed. Trevor Lawrence and his offense was not prepared to operate once the blitz got home. Not even when it just got home. When they sent a heavy blitz or sent somebody on a blitz that nobody defended, it just completely changed the offense for the Jags. Because a lot of the offense, and the Chiefs offense became this too once Pat became compromised, was a lot of short throws behind the line of scrimmage, the running back picking up a lot of yards, receiver did. Like, it wasn't a lot of throwing it vertical up the field for the majority of the game for either team. But specifically, that was the game plan it felt like for the Jags. And then when it felt like the clock was against them, then, obviously they started to try to throw it up the field. And a big throw up the field got dropped by Kirk in this game. However, I think the reason that happened at times is because defenses do get put to sleep when they have to continuously defend the line. Because when you play the Jags, they run the ball so great with Travis Etienne at times, and they can throw these little short routes. Sometimes you get so used to defending that they can sneak out to the back and get one. They can get behind coverage at times, but I don't feel like that's something that they offense do a lot. I was reminded today, though, that they get Calvin Ridley next year. So it's a great chance that he could add to that part of their offense. But a huge part for the Chiefs was they could run the ball. The Chiefs ran the ball great. Poncho, I know his name not Poncho. I think it's Pachillo. He was great. He ran. He had 95 yards today. This is what I'm talking about. When Pat Mahomes cannot be Pat Mahomes, other dudes got to step up. And you got to coach dudes and put them in the right position to step up. This is what I'm saying. Bieniemy and Andy Reid did a great job of putting other dudes in position to make plays when Pat Mahomes was no longer able to be Pat Mahomes. Pachillo had a great game. I don't really, actually, I do know why they keep the other dude in, because he's a great pass blocker. But Pachillo is a stud when they can get him out in space. He great at rerouting. Like this, I understand if you don't watch the Chiefs, you don't know who this is. But he didn't actually had a great season for them this year. I thought he would actually get more carries in this game once Pat Mahomes went down. But they kept the game plan, which I'm not mad at. I trust Andy Reid and Bieniemy. I actually trust them more than I trust Kyle Shanahan, even though Kyle Shanahan is that dude. But when Pat Mahomes went down in this game, I was questioning if they should just take him out of this game. Because the way he was limping around and I'm like, bro, is this going to cost this man? Like, is he going to get seriously hurt? But he left the stadium, they say, without a boot and anything like that. So hopefully, some TLC, bro, and some rest. He'll get back to the Pat Mahomes. Because I'm going to be mad as a dog. If he is compromised next week, which I just have to imagine he will be, this is going to suck. Because I got a feeling he playing against Joe Burrow next week. And I got a feeling if Pat Mahomes can't beat Pat Mahomes, he ain't beating Cincinnati. I believe it's a world where they can beat the Bills because Josh Allen and his turnover thing right now. The Bengals have too many weapons to not have a full, and they done beat Pat Mahomes when he was at 100%. So, and I like what the defense was able to do today. Like, for example, the Jags had a long drive in this game where they get down to the goal line and then Agnew fumbled the ball. It's just unfortunate. You can't imagine you get this many type of breaks against the Cincinnati Bengals if you play them. And I imagine that's who they playing. It's just hard to see. Joe Burrow and them boys, it feel like going. I'm not betting on them because I'm taking the Chiefs. But man, the way the Chiefs looked to start this game, and after Pat Mahomes was compromised, you just hope that he can find a way to get as close to 100% as possible before next week. Because clearly, as good as Pat Mahomes is when he got to be stationary, you want Pat Mahomes to be able to move around and do the things that make Pat Mahomes great. Now, one thing that I noticed in this game, which I done noticed all season, because you just have to play different when you don't have a Tyreek Hill. The Chiefs don't really have a receiver that's winning his matchup on a consistent basis, which they haven't had that all season, which is why they had to play the way they played this year. A lot of quick throws, getting it out quicker. He can't just sit around and stand around because he don't have a Tyreek Hill who beating nobody up the field or winning his matchup consistently. That's going to come into play against the Bengals because the Bengals got 3 dudes who can win their matchups. One of those dudes is always going to have a favorable matchup because he's going to be playing either a slot corner or a linebacker. I don't trust none of the Chiefs cornerbacks. So that will be, I think the Chiefs could have a better game if they matched up against the Bills, even though I think Gabriel Davis could end up getting behind them a couple times. I just think it's hard to beat a Cincinnati team with that type of weaponry on it right now. That is a lot of weaponry on that team for the Chiefs to not have a Pat Mahomes at 100%. Because like I said, I thought, and after this Eagles game today, listen, I all but said to myself, the Eagles is in the Super Bowl after today's game, even though I expected them to do what they did to the Giants. And I'm going to talk about that on a separate video. But what next for the Jacksonville Jags? I think the Jags is headed in a great spot. I don't think the defense is that great. I like different pieces on the defense. I think the defense was about to get fucked up today, like absolutely lit up until Pat Mahomes got hurt. That like the game completely, the offense for the Chiefs looked completely different. They were still able to be productive and get things going. I also think, and I understand the Chiefs are still playing, but back to that receiver point, the Chiefs got to go get Pat Mahomes a legitimate number 1 receiver again in the offseason. I understand they bought themselves time because of how great they done built around him and the pieces they went out to get to supplement the loss of a Tyreek Hill. But they got to go get him a number 1 receiver still. I understand his talent and Travis Kelce's greatness is doing what they doing right now. And, you know, this is just showing he can do what he doing with spare parts. But I saw Lamar Jackson win a unanimous MVP with spare parts, bro. Do not put Pat Mahomes through that multiple seasons, bro. Do not get sold on like, yes, Pat Mahomes' greatness is we still performed without the number 1. Get that man a number 1 receiver, bro, because it'll make the game. He threw 41 touchdowns this year. Could have threw 50 plus if he had a number 1 receiver. I'm just telling you what like it is, bro. Pat Mahomes to me is the best quarterback in football. I don't think it's close. Get that man a number 1 receiver again. I understand you lost Tyreek Hill last all season, and you didn't really have the time to go out and try to find a trade to bring in a replacement. That's cool. You got it off season now. Go get that man a number 1 receiver. Another thing that I see with I think the Jags, I'm not really a big fan of the Jags passing game. And I understand how it's working for them right now, but I really feel like if they went into another season of the short passing plays, that really could bite them in the ass, and it just leave too much up for grabs when you play that type of style. I do hope, I understand they get Calvin Ridley, and I hope maybe Calvin Ridley changed the system, like he changed the dynamic of their passing game. But I actually think they need to go get a tall receiver, a big body receiver. He don't even got to be the number 1 because Calvin Ridley will probably be better than that. If Calvin Ridley is what he was, what he last was, Calvin Ridley is at least a Pro Bowl level receiver. And he is also short. I don't know if you want to build your team. And I understand Christian Kirk is not the shortest of guys, but he also ain't no number 1 receiver. And Calvin Ridley is a better receiver than Christian Kirk. So I think the Jags got to go get Trevor Lawrence, number 1 receiver also. Because Evan Ingram cannot be your quarterback's number 1 option. Not because of anything wrong with Evan Ingram. He a tight end. And he ain't Travis Kelce. I would feel this way for everybody that's a tight end not named Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski. And I don't even really want Gronk to be your number one option. But you need somebody who can threaten the outside, who can put pressure on dudes outside. And for most quarterbacks, that's always going to help. It don't matter how great you are. If you can have weapons that threaten defenses on the outside, it just completely change everything. Teams can't just pack up in the middle of the field because they know tight ends. That's one of the reasons Joe Burrow got so much success. He can attack you on the inside or the outside because his best threats are 3 top-tier receivers, not a top-tier tight end. The tight end looked good as an extension of playing with 3 top receivers and also having a great run game. So if I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm pushing hard for them. You paid all this money for all these different type of receivers in the offseason. Like, they throwing jump balls to Marvin Jones, bro. Marvin Jones is a good player, but he ain't no 6 foot plus foot receiver. You go get you a tall receiver, like maybe you try to get into play for DeAndre Hopkins. You try to see if Mike Evans is possibly able to be traded. They need to go out and get a taller receiver, in my opinion, especially because some of the throws that Lawrence missed, he missed high at times. So I think that would help them out a great deal. Now, listen, I understand. I keep telling you, get a receiver. But great receivers, a great number one receiver, make a difference. The only time I wouldn't advocate for getting a great receiver would be for Pat Mahomes. And I'm not even advocating for that because I understand how much that does for an offense to have that type of help on the outside. So I wouldn't even advocate to not have for Pat Mahomes not to have one. I think you do your offense and your players a disservice, or your quarterback a disservice, when you don't have a dude who can threaten the field like that. I just watched the AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and that team dominated on the run, on the ground. But you can do that when you got that type of run game, and you still got to worry about the 2 receivers that they bringing into play. So I like the coaching. Obviously, you got to love Doug P. But I really think a receiver, a top tier type receiver, could get them to the next level. Even if, you try to trade and get one in the draft. Like, if you're the Jags, you don't necessarily got to go get one right now, even though I think getting one right now would speed up a process. But you are at a state where your offense was good enough this year. And first, you got to get Evan Ingram re-signed, even though he might be getting a big contract elsewhere for a team that's more desperate than the Jags. So that'd be a big loss if you lose him too, because he taller than the receivers on the team. So it's going to be interesting. And you can always improve the secondary if you're the Jags. The secondary is not that great, in my opinion. I do like Rashad Jenkins, but I still think you can improve in a lot of different areas there. And with this team, you just got to be happy with the progress you made this year, especially after what happened last year. Trevor Lawrence done proven he is a franchise quarterback. And you just got to keep building around him now. Point blank, period. You make a couple pieces, moves here on the defensive side of the ball. But for the most part, you find a way to fortify the offense, get to add better pieces on that offensive line. I think this could be a legitimate playoff contending team. I think they're going to win their division. They could win their division every year if no other quarterback comes to that division. For some reason, this seemed to be the one division that's always got one quarterback and nobody else, no other team usually got a quarterback in the division. But right now, no other team got a quarterback in the division. So if you the Jags, you're in a great spot. If you the Chiefs, you win this game. But for one, you really do hope the Bengals win, because if they win, you still stay in Kansas City and play next week. If they lose, then you got to go to Atlanta to play on a neutral site against the Bills, which I really don't like, because I feel like you should have to beat the Chiefs at home, bro. Beating Pat Mahomes in the playoffs in the AFC Championship game, which is his 5th trip to the AFC Championship game, by the way. It don't hold no weight to me if you don't have to do it in Kansas City. I'm going to be honest with you. It really don't hold that much weight. On a neutral site is really the thing that's killing me, bro. Like, why in the hell is it on a neutral site? Well, I know why it's on the neutral site, but I don't really like that it's on a neutral site. That's all I'm saying. With that being said, though, shout out to my boy Pat Mahomes, bro. Pat McGoat. I knew he was gonna find a way to get it done. But yeah, I'm definitely worried. You gotta hope some way, somehow, Pat Mahomes can get healthy enough to be effective next week, or to be some semblance of Pat Mahomes, because you're gonna need it against, regardless of who win next week. I mean, this tomorrow between the Chiefs. I mean, between the Bills and the Bengals. You're gonna need Pat Mahomes to be as close to Pat Mahomes as possible to beat either one of those two teams. So, man, a bittersweet win, really, because yeah, you won the game, but boy, you pray that this man is healthy going into next week. But with that being said, it was a great start to NFL's Divisional Saturday. I will be back later on with the New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles recap. I appreciate you for joining me. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. You could be anything in the world. Choose to be kind to somebody. Except, once again, to Chicago Bears fans. Saint out.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, she know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy. Scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber. You out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.